I just wanted to share briefly for those that may have been in a season where maybe for a few months or maybe a season you felt like you were on fire for the Lord, but suddenly hardship came and things began to happen where you began to slow down, or maybe discouragement, stress, depression, anxiety came, or even for those that are looking for direction. I wanted to share briefly in Acts chapter 28, Paul had landed on Malta after shipwrecking. And as he's going for more wood, suddenly a viper bites him, but he shakes it off and tosses it into a fire. And many of the people that were there in the land of Malta, they thought that he was going to shut down and die. But he shook it off. He was calm and he continued. And this is what I heard the Spirit of God say. I heard the Spirit of the Lord say, it's time to shake off the vipers. That which has come to slow you down or even bring forth discouragement, the poison that try to discourage my people, I break it off this day. For surely it's time to shake off the vipers. As I began to study this, I began to think about why he was so calm. And if you go back to the previous verse, chapter 27 of Acts, you see that Paul forewarns the crews saying that they shouldn't travel because there's going to be a shipwreck, but they ignored what Paul said. Later on, after they went, he says, you should have, pretty much I'm paraphrasing, he said, you pretty much should have listened, but you didn't. But worry not, because God sent me an angel and he told me that none of us will die. Can I tell you the reason why the reason why Paul was so calm when the viper came is because he had a word, a promise from God that none of them, not a hair on their head will come off. None of them were going to die. Can I tell you what began to happen? Because Paul had such faith in God and that confidence in the word that he received. He knew that he wasn't going to die. The crew wasn't going to die. And later on, that which came to kill him was actually a setup to bring life to that place. Malta, if you look it up in the Greek, it refers to honey. Can I tell you what happened is the people of Malta experienced the sweetness, the goodness of God through Paul. Paul had an assignment and he laid hands on the people, the islanders, and those that were sick received healing. Can I tell you, for those that may be going through a hardship, a moment where maybe you feel like you're slowing down, maybe you feel like you can't hear God or there's no direction for you, remember what God has spoken again. And I just want to encourage you, everything you've gone through was not against you, but if I told you it was for you, would you believe that? The circumstances that you're going through is to teach you to rely on the word of God above all else. And when your faith is refined and hardships come and maybe you feel like you've been betrayed or even bit by a thing, can I tell you that which has intended to kill you, God will turn it around and make a message out of your mess and bring forth a deliverance that you need. And when I say deliverance, I'm not saying manifestations of demons. I'm saying deliverance from a hardship or a place where maybe you felt captivity. Through a word of God, transformation comes. But when you obey the instructions of God, it sets you up for victory. Later on, you see everything that had happened. They thought that he was a God. They marveled at everything that Paul did. I'm here to encourage you today, regardless of what things may seem like in this moment, know that God is setting you up for the greatest of breakthroughs.